school, the children grow up sometimes feeling lesser confident, because what happens is the way our education system is, unfortunately or fortunately, our children grow up to be very hard workers. They really know how to burn the midnight oil. They have the exam pressures, they can handle that pressure. But where they miss out on is applying the education that the school is imparting. And at that point of time, also a certain set of kids, what will happen is they feel that yes, they've accomplished. So they feel accomplished, but there's a major group of kids who don't feel that they have achieved. So they are in self-doubt always. And that is probably so many of us grew up as. Not because we were not smart enough, but it's just that we never believed in ourselves. So that is the reason why we lived in self-doubt. So we wanted to get over that. The basic fundamental of Dreamers and Innovators is that you've got to speak without the fear of being judged. We do not judge. We do not judge anyone. Even if a child, you know, they're children. Sometimes anybody smart, that is when we immediately would intervene and put it very straight that we cannot be judging anyone. So we are working on the skills that have been mentioned here. We're trying to build a knowledge base, because without knowledge, tomorrow it's not going to work. And because with knowledge comes a true confidence. And if we tell our children, okay, children, let's read the newspaper tomorrow, you know, it's not going to make sense. It never made sense to me. So I cannot expect my children or anybody else in class 7th or 8th that to start following what all this is about. So when we talk, because what is happening is today information is traveling from one end of globe to the other in split seconds. It's almost the speed of light, literally. So we cannot cope up. So what we are teaching, what we are learning is only typically how to read, how to learn at school. But rest, we have to have certain base knowledge that the other information that is available starts making sense. So Kate sir and I, typically, this is a joke between us, that what is Dreamers and Innovators? It's all about planting antenna in your head. So once the antenna is implanted, then it starts receiving all these informations into through these antennas. So they become, our brain becomes more receptive to this knowledge. So that's one thing. And we are, of course, encouraging them to a lot of skill sets. How we approach is, honestly, even we don't know. Because each session depends on each session that is being planned by Keetsa and me. We really, really do not have a set methodology. We do not. Sometimes we have brainstorming. Sometimes we'll have a lot of group activities. Sometimes when we had live sessions, I remember there was one session which was, I always remember that we wanted to teach the kids how to use adjectives. And what we did was, we made each other a product. This was one of the most fun sessions because the children couldn't stop laughing. And the idea was that you've got to sell the other person. So the children were selling Keith sir, the children were selling me. They were finding the slogan. So, you know, how we go about it, we do not know. But we're working a lot on the interpersonal skills too, where we want the children to interact with each other. And that is, I think, one shortcoming which even we adults have. We function beautifully in groups. We function beautifully individually, correction. But we do not function very well when we are put in a group. Now, that is something we want the children to understand early in age. And because before being a good team, before we become a good team leader, the important part is that we become a very good team player. So you've got to be receptive to other people's opinion. You have to be open to brainstorming. You have to contribute equally. You have to be open to basically encourage other people and not discourage anybody's views, because only then the true learning will happen. So this is a philosophy, what we've always believed in. And that's the reason why we work in groups. And we want the children to collaborate. We want the children to think, because otherwise, if we do in smaller groups, it's a very, very boring class. So that's the reason why we look at an ideal group is about 12 to 14, in which they can break out into teams, more groups, more interaction, and then they come back, they have the feeling of unity. So on Zoom, there's a feature called the breakout rooms, which is used all the time in our classes. So that when they come back unified as a team, and then we move forward. All right, these are the topics that we have often discussed. These topics seem tough, but these topics seem a little tough for Probably, at least to me, they would have sounded a little tough in the early growing up years. But I can say with pride that my children, when I say my children, it's not my two, it means my DNI family. Uh, they have their antennas in place for all this. So